Two Canadians, same high school, same university, same degree, graduated the same year. Both landed jobs paying $65,000. Same starting line. 20 years later, one of them owns a home, has a maxed TFSA, a growing RRSP, minimal debt, and is on track to retire comfortably before 60. The other earns more now, $95,000, and is more stressed about money than they were at 25. Credit card debt, no investments, a mortgage they are not sure they can handle, and a retirement that feels completely out of reach. Same education, higher income, worse financial outcome. What separated them was not intelligence. It was not luck. It was not connections or inheritance or some secret advantage. It was one subject. One subject that neither of them was taught in school. One subject that the Canadian education system, at every level, almost completely ignores: financial literacy. And in this video, we are going to show you exactly what financial literacy is, what it costs you when you do not have it, the 6 specific knowledge gaps that are draining Canadian wealth right now, and, most importantly, how to close every single one of them. Because here is the thing about financial literacy. It is not complicated. It is not reserved for finance professionals. And it is not too late to start, no matter where you are right now. But the longer you wait, the more it costs. And we are going to put exact numbers on that cost today. Let us start with a clear definition. Because financial literacy is one of those terms people use without unpacking what it actually means. Financial literacy is the ability to understand and apply financial concepts to real decisions in your own life. Notice what that definition does not say. It does not say being good at math. Financial literacy requires almost no mathematics beyond basic arithmetic. It does not say understanding complex financial instruments. Most Canadians will never need to understand derivatives, options strategies, or leveraged ETFs. It does not say having a high income. Financial literacy is equally relevant and equally impactful at $40,000 per year as it is at $200,000. What financial literacy actually is the knowledge to answer questions like, should I pay down my mortgage faster or invest the extra money in my TFSA? What is the actual after-tax cost of carrying a credit card balance at 19.99%? Why does my RRSP contribution give me money back on my tax return? And how much? What is the difference between VFV and XEQT? And which one belongs in my portfolio? If I start investing $500 per month at 28 versus 38, what is the actual dollar difference at 65? These are not exotic questions. These are the decisions that determine the financial trajectory of every Canadian's life. And most Canadians have never been given the vocabulary or framework to answer them confidently. According to the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, only 44% of Canadians have a budget. Only 49% have an emergency fund. And a 2023 Ipsos survey found that 53% of Canadians were living paycheck to paycheck, including Canadians earning over $100,000. That last number is the one that should stop you. 53% of Canadians living paycheck to paycheck includes people earning 6 figures. Income does not solve financial stress. Financial literacy does. Your action step. Rate your own financial literacy honestly right now on a scale of 1 to 10 across 5 areas: taxes, debt, investing, registered accounts, and budgeting. Write those 5 numbers down. The lowest one is where you start. Here are the 6 knowledge gaps most commonly identified in Canadian financial literacy research, and the specific dollar cost of each one. Gap 1. Not understanding how Canadian taxes work. Most Canadians do not understand marginal tax rates. They believe that earning more money can leave them with less, because a raise pushes them into a higher bracket. This is false. Canada uses a marginal rate system. Only the income above each threshold is taxed at the higher rate. But more expensively, most Canadians do not understand how to reduce their taxable income. RRSP contributions reduce your taxable income dollar for dollar. A $10,000 RRSP contribution for a Canadian earning $80,000 in Ontario saves approximately $3,160 in taxes immediately, in addition to the tax-free growth inside the account. Canadians who do not understand this leave thousands of dollars on the table every single year. According to the CRA, billions of dollars in RRSP contribution room goes unused annually by Canadians who could benefit from the deduction. Gap 2. Not understanding the true cost of debt. A $5,000 credit card balance at 19.99% interest, making only minimum payments of approximately $100 per month, takes approximately 11 years to pay off and costs approximately $8,200 in total interest on a $5,000 purchase. Most Canadians carrying credit card debt have no idea of this calculation. They see a $100 minimum payment as manageable. They do not see the $8,200 sitting behind it. In Q4 2024, total Canadian credit card debt reached approximately $115 billion. Average non-mortgage debt per Canadian, approximately $21,000. The interest cost of carrying that debt, at typical rates, is destroying wealth at a rate that no investment can reliably offset. Gap 3. Not understanding investing basics. According to a 2024 Vanguard Canada survey, only 31% of Canadians could correctly identify what an ETF is. Only 27% understood the relationship between fees and long-term investment returns. The fee gap alone is enormous. A Canadian investing $500 per month for 30 years in a high-fee mutual fund charging 2.5% MER versus a low-cost ETF charging 0.20%. MER loses approximately $198,000 in returns to fees alone. Not to bad picks, not to bad timing, just to fees they did not know to question. Gap 4. Not using registered accounts correctly. As of 2024, approximately 36% of eligible Canadians have never opened a TFSA. Of those who have, a significant portion hold cash inside the account rather than investing it, missing the tax-free growth entirely. The TFSA is the most powerful wealth-building tool available to everyday Canadians. Tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals, no impact on government benefits. Invest in anything from GICs to ETFs. And the 2026 cumulative room is $109,000. Leaving it empty or holding only cash is one of the most expensive financial literacy gaps in Canada. Gap 5. Not having a budget or tracking spending. The 56% of Canadians without a formal budget are not spending recklessly. They simply do not know where their money goes. And what you cannot measure, you cannot manage. Research consistently shows that Canadians who track spending save an average of 15% to 20% more than those who do not because they restrict themselves more aggressively, but because awareness alone changes behavior. A 15% savings improvement on a $70,000 after-tax income is $10,500 per year. Over 25 years at 7%. That is approximately $680,000 in additional wealth from tracking alone. Gap 6. Not understanding compound interest. In either direction. Compound interest is the most powerful force in personal finance. It works for you inside investments. It works against you inside debt. And most Canadians do not understand either application. $200 per month invested at 8% from age 22 to 65. Approximately $1,007,000. The same $200 per month spent instead of invested. Approximately $103,200 in nominal spending over 43 years. The gap between those two outcomes, from $200 per month, is nearly $1 million. Not from a large income, not from a sophisticated strategy, from understanding compound interest and acting on it early. Your action step: identify which of the 6 gaps applies most directly to you. Choose one. Spend 30 minutes this week learning specifically about that gap. One gap closed is a permanent improvement in your financial trajectory. Here is the part of this video that might make you angry. Canada's school system, at both the provincial and federal level, has been slow, inconsistent, and largely ineffective at delivering financial literacy education. In 2020, the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada published a national financial literacy strategy, acknowledging that Canadians lacked foundational financial knowledge. As of 2026, mandatory financial literacy education is still not standardized across Canadian provinces. Some provinces have introduced personal finance units into high school curriculum. Most treat it as optional, brief, or absorbed into other subjects where it competes for attention. The result? A generation of Canadians who know how to calculate the area of a triangle, a skill most will never use, but who have never been taught how a credit card's compounding interest works, what a marginal tax rate is, or why a TFSA is different from a regular savings account. This is not an accident. Financial products, credit cards, mortgages, mutual funds with high MERs, insurance products sold as investments, are more profitable to financial institutions when consumers do not fully understand them. And let us be direct about something. The financial services industry in Canada is not primarily structured to maximize your wealth. It is structured to maximize its own. Financial advisors in Canada are not legally required to act in your best interest under a fiduciary standard in the same way a lawyer is. The advice you receive is shaped by incentives that are not always aligned with yours. This does not mean everyone in financial services is acting in bad faith. Most are not. But it does mean that the responsibility for your financial education cannot be outsourced to an industry that profits when you do not fully understand your options. The responsibility is yours. And here is the good news. The knowledge gap is closable. Financial literacy is not a talent. It is a curriculum. And for the first time in history, that curriculum is available for free, in video form, in books, in podcasts, and on platforms like this one. The barrier to financial literacy in Canada in 2026 is not access. It is awareness that the gap exists and the decision to close it. Your action step: look up your province's current high school financial literacy curriculum. Then compare what is taught to the 6 gaps we just covered. That comparison will tell you everything about why you are watching this video instead of already knowing it. We have spent a lot of time on what financial illiteracy costs. Now let us look at the other side. Because financial literacy does not just prevent losses. When applied consistently over a career, it actively compounds wealth in ways that dwarf the cost of almost any other self-improvement. Let us build the full picture of what a financially literate Canadian looks like, in dollar terms, compared to a financially illiterate one at the same income level. The comparison: 2 Canadians, $75,000 income, age 28 to 65. Canadian A, financially illiterate. No RRSP contributions. Leaves $3,000 plus in tax refunds on the table annually. Carries $8,000 in credit card debt at 19.99%, paying $1,600 per year in interest. Invested in mutual funds with 2.5% M20 and ER. TFSA opened, but holds only cash savings account at 2%. No budget. Savings rate approximately 3%. Retires at 65 with approximately $280,000 in total assets. Canadian B, financially literate, maximizes RRSP contributions, captures $3,000 plus in annual tax refunds, reinvested. Zero high-interest debt, freed that $1,600 per year and directed it to TFSA. Invested in low-cost ETFs, XEQT at 0.20%, MER. TFSA maximized every year, $7,000 per year invested in equity ETFs, tracks spending, savings rate approximately 18%. Retires at 65 with approximately $1,850,000 in total assets. Same income, same career length, same city. Gap at retirement, approximately $1,570,000. And here is what built that gap. The tax knowledge was worth approximately $180,000 in additional RRSP growth over 37 years. The debt knowledge was worth approximately $59,000 in interest not paid, plus the compounded investment value of that freed capital. The fee knowledge was worth approximately $198,000 in MER savings compounded over 30 years. The TFSA knowledge was worth approximately $880,000 in tax-free ETF growth at 8% from age 28. The budgeting knowledge produced a 15% higher savings rate, worth approximately $253,000 in additional invested capital. None of these required a higher salary. None required a finance degree. None required exceptional investment skill. They required knowledge, applied consistently, over time. That is the compounding value of financial literacy. Your action step. Estimate what Canadian B's profile looks like for your own income. How much RRSP room have you left unused? How much high-interest debt are you carrying? What is the MER on your investments? What is your current savings rate? The gap between where you are and where Canadian B is your financial literacy opportunity cost. Here is the roadmap. 6 gaps, 6 closures, in the right order. Step 1. Understand how Canadian taxes work. Start with the CRA's own website. Understand marginal tax rates. Understand how RRSP contributions reduce taxable income. Understand the difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit. One resource, the CRA's Understanding Your Taxes Guide. Free, plain language, Canada-specific. One action, calculate your marginal tax rate right now using your income and province. Then calculate what a $5,000 RRSP contribution would save you in taxes this year. Do that math once, and you will never leave RRSP room unused again. Step 2. Eliminate high-interest debt using the avalanche method. List every debt you carry. Note the interest rate beside each one. Attack the highest interest rate debt first, while making minimum payments on everything else. This is the debt avalanche, and it is mathematically the fastest path to being debt-free. Credit card debt at 19.99% is a guaranteed 19.99% return on every dollar you put toward it. No investment reliably beats that. Eliminate it first. Step 3. Open a TFSA and invest it properly. If you do not have a TFSA, open one today. Any of the major Canadian discount brokerages, Questrade, Wealthsimple, TD Direct Investing, RBC Direct Investing. Then invest it. Not in a savings account. Not in a GIC at 3.85%, with a 2.4% inflation rate eating the real return. In a diversified equity ETF. For most Canadians in their 20s to 40s, a single-ticket ETF like XEQT covers global equities across 9,000-plus companies at a 0.20% MER. It is the most accessible implementation of the world's greatest investors' collective wisdom, available to any Canadian with $500. Step 4. Build a budget that takes 15 minutes per month. You do not need a complex spreadsheet. You need a simple framework. Monthly after-tax income minus fixed costs equals discretionary pool. Allocate 50% to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to savings and debt. Review your bank statement once per month. Categorize 3 months of spending to establish baselines. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Awareness produces behavior change without willpower. Step 5. Audit your investments for fees. Log into every investment account you hold. Find the management expense ratio on every fund. If any mutual fund charges above 1%, compare it to an equivalent ETF. The question to ask your advisor or your platform: what is the MER on this product? If they cannot answer it clearly, that is your answer. Step 6. Understand compound interest in both directions. Run the compound interest calculation on your current savings rate. Then run it on a 15% savings rate. Then run it on a 20% savings rate. See how the outputs change. Then run the same calculation on your debt. See what your credit card balance will cost you over 5 years at current minimum payments. Once you have seen these numbers, they do not leave you. The compound interest calculator is the most powerful financial literacy tool ever created. And it is free. Your action step. Complete step 1 this week. Not next month. This week. Calculate your marginal tax rate, your RRSP contribution room, and the tax refund you could claim this year. That one calculation, taking 20 minutes, is potentially worth thousands of dollars on your next tax return. Let's come back to where we started. 2 Canadians. Same school. Same degree. Same starting salary. 20 years later, one of them is financially secure. The other is more stressed about money than they were at 25. We now know exactly what separated them. It was not luck. It was not a better employer. It was not an inheritance. It was 6 pieces of knowledge, applied consistently over 2 decades. How taxes work, the true cost of debt, the difference between a mutual fund and an ETF, how to use a TFSA properly, how to track spending, and how compound interest turns small, consistent decisions into life-changing outcomes. That knowledge, all of it, is available for free in 2026. In books, on YouTube, on government websites, on platforms built specifically to deliver it to Canadians in plain language. The Canadian education system did not give it to you. The financial services industry has limited incentive to give it to you, and nobody is coming to hand it to you. But you are watching this video, which means you already know the gap exists, and knowing the gap exists is the only prerequisite for closing it. Start with one gap, close it this week, then move to the next one. The $1.57 million difference between Canadian A and Canadian B was not built in a day. It was built one piece of knowledge at a time, applied consistently over decades. Your version of that starts today.